Hey everyone, welcome back to the AddMeGamers channel, and this is Dan, and I'm going to be doing another commentary, actually the first of a 6-series, 6-game between WhiteRa and we're going to have StarCraft. On the top right, we're going to have StarCraft as the blue Zerg player, and on the bottom left we're going to have WhiteRa as the red Protoss player. This map is Daybreak, so it's a pretty large map altogether, so I don't really know if we're going to see some very popular strategies used here, as the size of the map actually makes different strategies applied in terms of the gameplay itself. So it'll be pretty interesting to see exactly how this plays out. As most of you know, WhiteRa is pretty popular in terms of being one of the best Protoss players itself. So of course we do have the spawning pool being placed down as early as possible for StarCraft, and we can see that of course the overlords are being streamed across the map to be able to scout out in terms of where WhiteRa is placed. We do have already the pylon here ready for the actual nexus itself, and they are just going for those second bases initially, since the map is too large to bother sending units across. Majority of players do usually go for the secondary base. You usually have very little initial base harass, since the map is just too large to send those units across the map, and by that time usually it doesn't really make such a big deal at all whatsoever. So finally the spawning pool up, and the queen is being produced as well, and we do have of course the forge being built as well. So we do have a forge fast expand, and we should have maybe another gateway built here as well. So we already have one gateway in line, and we have the forge fast expand. We should expect to have of course that warp gate research coming online as well. The first queen nearly complete, second hatchery as well for StarCraft halfway through. So far it's a pretty quiet game. We do have finally the overlord arriving, so it should be able to scout out everything that it can. The photon cannon will make that a little bit harder, so WhiteRa is trying to prevent the scout coming in from, I do believe, from StarCraft though. Will he actually be able to take care of this overlord, or was this cannon just placed? I do believe this cannon was just placed for the wall itself. If he did decide to actually prevent this overlord scout from happening, he would have placed it differently or dealt with it differently. I don't believe WhiteRa really cares about the overlord actual scouting itself, so he's not really hiding any initial aggression. Otherwise he would have taken that overlord out pretty quickly. And we do have a little bit of retaliation here, of course. The Zerglings chasing down the probe itself, which did manage to scout out both the bases, but it doesn't know about the third base. So StarCraft still hiding that third base from WhiteRa, as WhiteRa doesn't really have a clue if he's going for the third base. So far drones and probes from both players are pretty much on what's in the production line. Everybody wants to get that economy up pretty up and running as quickly as possible, so nothing really special happening there. We do have of course that probe retreating to the Zolnaga tower and going to be moving back down. I'm not exactly sure where that probe is trying to go to, but he'll probably most likely lose it. A few zealots here on the actual ramp itself to prevent any free roaming Zerglings from jumping up to the map. Here comes another scout. WhiteRa really persistent in knowing if there's a third base up and running, and now he will spot it, and he knows, and he really doesn't care if he's going to lose this probe at all, as this probe really made its worthwhile in scouting out, and he has everything he needs to know. So we have a couple of zealots of course coming down to that third base. I do believe he is going to go for that third base in terms of these zealots, or he's going to go for his own third itself. Time will tell. No, he's actually moving in for the third base, and of course the Zergling spots that and decides to retreat, so pretty funny. Cybernetic score coming on. We do have the weapons one as well coming online, so I presume there might be a little bit of aggression in terms of WhiteRa's future strategy. We have the warp gate research. We should see a couple of gateways as well coming online. Finally the zealots arrive, and that queen running for dear life as it's no match against those three zealots. So will he be able to take care of this or not? We do have 6 more Zerglings in production, so he needs those Zerglings to pop to actually prevent from WhiteRa doing any more additional damage. And he's trying to do as much damage as possible, but very nice micro from StarCraft making this really difficult for WhiteRa. We do have 5 more Zerglings. This is going to get a complete round, and that Zealot is going to die, and these Zealots are still managing to stay alive. But the moment these Zerglings do make this round, of course WhiteRa knows that he can take the advantage of being placed between the actual crystals themselves. That's not allowing a complete round, but they still will drop. Still a very nice attempt by WhiteRa, not really to the best. He didn't really manage to do anything. He did actually did manage to get his probe killed, so far nothing really special. WhiteRa still did kill or lost more units, so he did lose 14-0. I do believe he didn't even kill 14-5, sorry. So really WhiteRa on the losing end in terms of units themselves. Anyways, the weapons level 1 is complete. Metabolic boost should be increasing the speed of those Zerglings. And so far we do have the Roachworm, so we should see roaches coming online, and we do have a morphing of the lair itself. So Stephano is transitioning into those roaches. Here comes the gateway as predicted. We do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we do have the 6th gateway from the front, and an additional pylon to extend that supply depot. So we should hopefully have some nice production in terms of warp gate units from WhiteRa, and hopefully being able to push out in terms of the game itself. So far nothing really happening. He is going for his 3rd Nexus as well. So far they are on par in terms of base wise, even though these Zealots should be easily pushed up. He's going to be able to move forward, move up, and be able to spot that 3rd Nexus from WhiteRa. So he's going to do a little bit of harass. No, he decides to retreat as he is being forced down by these units themselves. So far nothing really special happening in terms of the players. Everybody is still just basing up, droning up, getting those units up and online and ready. We do have, of course, the Gale research coming online. We would have 8 more overlords, 9 more to increase that supply. And finally 9 more roaches, and that weapons 1 already halfway through, 2 more zealots, and that armor level 1 robotics facility as well. So hopefully we might see either that immortal or that observer coming online. It really depends. I do believe he scouted out the majority of what he needs to know, so most probably the immortals are going to be coming online as soon as possible the moment the robotics facility gets completed. The scout here obviously sees that the units are coming down. Roaches moving down, going to be taken down from the stock itself. Force fields trying to prevent the roaches from moving forward so quickly. More force fields to try to prevent those roaches from being able to catch up so quickly, as the roaches do have substantial, good speed in terms of being able to move forward. The zealots used as sacrificials to be able to hold off so the sentries don't get lost. The zealots are really the meat of the actual Protoss army itself. They are just being charged in. He is trying to save those sentries, as you can see. WhiteRa, very nice, trying to save those sentries as much as possible coming down to the initial army itself. Is he going to be placing down, I do believe, maybe 2 force fields in case the roaches? No, he is going for that 3rd vulnerable base, and he knows that. He's placing down those gateways and those 2 cannons, but I don't know if it's going to be any match in terms of all these roaches and the amount of Zerglings coming down. They are moving down, they're going to be taken out. Force fields get placed down, that cannon just drops immediately, and that gateway already heavily damaged and really gonna drop, and it did get dropped. All those resources are gonna be lost. The Nexus is being taken out next, and all those attacks are still going for the Nexus. The shields are down for the Nexus itself. Guardian shields get popped up. 3 more force fields actually do push those roaches closer to the Nexus. Not what he wanted. Nexus drops. Roaches decide to retreat. MillStephano calls this pretty good so far. Another Guardian shield pops up. More force fields, really sloppily placed, not really making any sense whatsoever. More warpings because we do have a couple of stalkers. This should be able to mop up the rest of the roaches. And so far, this did turn out pretty well for WhiteRa, even though resources-wise, I do believe he did manage to lose quite a lot, actually. He did manage to lose. Units lost, we do have 32,000 resources to 28, so WhiteRa really on the losing end in terms of resources used and consumed and lost. We do have, of course, that first immortal finally coming online as well. So far it seems to be looking towards Stephano's side in terms of gameplay. We do have the glands research coming online, and the Carpus level 1, and we do have the pathogen glands as well. So 10 more roaches as well, and we do have a few spine crawlers being placed down. We have the 4th hatchery as well being placed down. So far looking pretty good for Stephano's side. He finally has those 4 bases, as the Zergs need those 4 bases to finally get some good unit production, and we do have, of course, that 2nd hatchery just being used for production of larvae. So here come the 2 armies are going to collide, and here it comes. Finally, I do believe WhiteRa is on an advantage here. A few force fields placed down, really badly positioning in terms of actual force fields themselves. He's trying to trap in the roaches themselves. He actually managed to pick them off. Very nice with the Guardian Shield, preventing any additional damage. He is moving pretty aggressively. We do have those streaming in units, and we do have, of course, 4 infestors as well. So he is switching into the infestors as well, Stephano, to try to counteract this Protoss ball. Maybe a few fungal growths on that Protoss ball should be able to deter Stephano from using such a closely lumped Protoss army and force him to spread out a little bit more. We do have finally that hive coming online, so we should see some hopefully high-end units being produced in terms of the Zerg itself, and the Spire as well. So we might have those Corruptors or Mutalisks. It really depends. I do believe he might be actually going for those corruptors, as Stefano might be worried that WhiteRa by this, especially by the 14-minute mark, he's probably going to be having some Colossus coming in play, which he doesn't. He is just going Immortal heavy. He has those 3 Immortals, 4 Immortals. Usually WhiteRa plays with these 3-4 Immortals. He doesn't really produce more than this. He is pretty satisfied in terms of the Immortal count, as they are very deadly in terms of roaches. It's a 1-to-1 hit. That's what WhiteRa quoted once, saying in one of the interviews that I saw him make. So very effective, these Immortals, against these roaches. So here comes the push, and does Stefano know about this? I do believe he's going to take out the tumor and the actual destructible debris before actually being able to move forward. He really needs a much wider gap. He's moving back, actually. He's deciding not to go for it. We do have the level 2 weapons nearly finished, and the robotics facility finally, and another robotics facility, and we do have the first robotics bay coming online, so we should see those Colossus. Here comes the 4th Nexus, and he's moving his army there to defend the actual 4th Nexus itself, and he finally moved forward to the 4th position by the Zolnaga Tower to keep an eye out on everything happening. We do have, of course, the Overlord nicely tucked away on this high ramp itself, and we do have the level 3 for the Zerglings, and we do have, of course, the newer Paralists coming online as well, newer Parasites, and the Greater Spire as well, so some Broodlords might be coming down from Stefano as well. So far, a very interesting play. We do have a War Prison, so we might actually see some War Prison harass, or helping down to warp down those units on the actual Zerg terrain, as the Crete is everywhere and those war prisons allow that to happen. We do have, of course, the thermal lands being researched as well, and a Stargate. Really very broad expansions happening for both sides as well. We do have a few Zerglings being able to pick off this pylon as well, so I do believe they are going to go for that pylon. And here comes a small little push of roaches. This should be pretty much crushed by the amount of Immortals and sentries themselves here, especially being flanked by the Stalkers. This should be pretty much wiped out very quickly. These Zerglings managed to drop the actual pylon itself. Where is that prison? Here it is, and he knows that. He did place down a few Festers, and they should be able to take out this war prison. Are they going to be able to take out the Infested Terrans? No, he actually cancelled everything. He decided to cancel all those war pins, and those Zealots actually did, of course, to be taken out by the infestation, by those Infestors. So far we have the Blink Research coming along, another war prison. He's not given up in terms of war harass. He is trying to slow down the actual expansion by Stefano, of course, now on his 5th base itself. So far so good. We do have a very nice game style. Blink Research should be complete war prison, and we do have the 2nd Colossus coming online. 3rd Colossus, my bad. So 5 Broodlords being morphed in, and here comes that crazy Zergling army just charging forward, trying to pick off as much, going for that production line, and another split coming. This Colossus did manage to fry a few Zerglings, but still they are going to slip through to all those bases. He is splitting them up, really trying to be as annoying as possible, really trying to cut down the production or those resources, but those cannons should be able to pick off, as he did place those cannons very smartly. All he has to do is just move those actual probes up to the actual base themselves. Did he actually manage to block the fleet beacons being produced, and a few Zealots are being warped in, but they do get us around, and those Zealots are going to drop, unfortunately, and another Zealot is going to drop. So far this harass from this side is still continuing. I do believe that this Colossus should be able to mop up the rest. He's not even going to bother. He just routed them directly up. He's not even bothering with this actual small little harass coming down from Stefano. He's not really counteracting anything. I don't understand what he's actually doing. Here comes the Colossus. Should be able to mop up that one Zealot, and this one remaining Zealot should be mopped up. He actually lost the actual pylon itself. I don't really know why. Too late. Really very late. Warping in those 2 Stalkers to take care of that. Here comes finally a push by WhiteRa. Is he actually going to finally push out, though? He is playing very passively. More research, level 3 ground Carp is coming online for the Zerg player, and we do have finally that attack level 1 for those Broodlings that I do believe are in play, and the Corruptors as well. That should be very effective against these Colossus. We do have quite a lot of Colossus in play, though. He really needs something to counteract. We do have, of course, 5 High Templar, 6 High Templar. Maybe we're going to have a few, and the Mothership as well. Maybe a few Archons are going to be warping in, or he's going to be, yes, all Archons warping in. Very nice play by WhiteRa. He is really going high end here in terms of unit production itself. The level 3 weapons is going to be complete, a Mothership as well, so he's going to push out once that Mothership comes on. I do believe so. He is going to get that done. All these upgrades coming on, of course, for Stefano. We do have the Carpus and the Carpus level 2 as well, really increasing those air units, ground armor, I mean, and attack the hatchery as well coming online. We do have that 4th, 5th, 6th hatchery as well. I don't know why. It's currently base-wise, really Stephano is on the advantage here. WhiteRa needs to push out and be more aggressively. We do have 2 more cannons being produced. Which base actually are these cannons being produced? Probably on the newer base. Yes, we do have the 2 cannons being produced here. So he is expanding as well. We do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bases in terms of WhiteRa himself. He did manage to split the actual armies into 2. He is splitting the armies into 2. He is going down. Here are the infestors. Very nice fungals blocking down, preventing those Archons from retreating. Again, getting hit by those fungal growths. Not very effective against the Archons themselves. Broodlings moving in, and WhiteRa knows that the main army is up, of course, so he's retreating with those Stalkers. He knows to move up himself, and the rest of this Zerglings should be mopped up pretty quickly. And will they move down? This is the question itself. So far, look at the amount of Broodlings that he does have. The amount of Broodlords are just ridiculous. He has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we do have, again, I think 7, 8, 9, 10. In total, he has around 17 Broodlords, no, 16 Broodlords in total. Really crazy in terms of Broodlings for Stephano. The question is, can WhiteRa have the strategic advantage to be able to mop up these actual units themselves? We do have the Burrowing, so this is going to be very effective in using the infestors very closely, and of course if the Fungals are going to be placed down, Fungals hitting very nice, Broodlings actually moving down, being able to take out these Stalkers pretty quickly. I don't know why WhiteRa moved out the actual units themselves pretty earlier. Then here comes the Vortex, suck in all those Broodlings. Very nice play, and the rest of the units should be taken up pretty quickly, even though he did lose a lot of these Stalkers, but he used the Stalkers as fodder, so the Broodlings are going to be dropped out. The Vortex still sucking in all those units, including some of his own, and of course the Infestors being retreated, and the rest of the Roaches and the rest of the units are going to be fried pretty quickly. Very nice play by WhiteRa, moving forward, taking out the main army of these Archons, of course moving forward with the splash damage, and these Infestors running for their daily lives as they can't do anything. Blink in by the Stalkers themselves. Those Infestors are running. WhiteRa knows that this game is really in his pocket. WhiteRa to an advantage. We do have 3 more Stalkers, 2 more Colossus in play, 25 Roaches and 72 Zerglings. All Stephano has to do is hopefully survive and be able to push out with this massive army that he actually did put on the production line itself. Here come those Infestors. I mean, here comes those Roaches. Roaches being fried. Another hatchery drops in his primary base. His actual main hatchery being dropped for his actual, his second base is being dropped. His second hatchery being dropped, and here comes in the flank by those Roaches. Is he going to actually be able to take care of these Colossus? Should be able to fry these Roaches pretty easily, and the Infestors as well. Those Corruptors are going to be forced to retreat, and he's going for that second base. The second base drops itself, and the second base has been literally wiped out. Those drones are going to be dropped, and we do have that, of course, Dark Templar in play. 2 more Colossus being produced, and we do have more units streaming. And look at the amount of Stalkers streaming. This is ridiculous. I do believe that this game is forced for WhiteRa. It's just a matter of time until Stephano calls it a good game. He is going for the actual main base itself. He's going to be taking out the second macro hatch for those larvae just, and we do have those evolution chambers going to be dropping down. That research is going to be complete. It's going to allow that completion of that research. It'll be very nice play by WhiteRa, probably not even knowing that it was just about to get completed, that research itself. We do have 10 Corruptors, and we do have more Roaches and another Roach Worm itself. I don't believe, no matter how Stephano is going to try to do this hive is going to drop, really giving it a very heavy blow. Those Immortals should be able to take out those Spine Calls very quickly. And we do have a small little push coming for Stephano, deciding to push out since he knows that his main base is down, and we do have, of course, a retaliation with those Colossus. They should be able to fry up these Roaches very easily, and more Warpins of Zealots. He is trying to sustain the amount of damage that he's getting. WhiteRa still trying to keep a little bit of attention to his actual forward line itself. He doesn't want to lose. Usually players decide to ignore the actual main push, as they know they are pushing out pretty aggressively. So this isn't a base-to-base, and he is forced to retreat, especially with the amount of reinforcements by WhiteRa. Very nice play on both bases themselves. This is really it in terms of Stephano. We do have the Great Spire going to be coming down, including Spire. Third base already dropped, and a very nice mop-up in terms of WhiteRa. 36 Zerglings come online. Look at the amount of Spine Calls and all those Broodlings. I do believe, is that Mothership still in play, or that Mothership got dropped? I do believe that Mothership did get dropped, though. He's not even going to bother. The production line is completely silent now. Nothing really happening. Broodlings moving forward. WhiteRa deciding to retreat just a little bit. I don't believe he's going to actually retreat. He's just retreating just to catch exactly a little bit of breath, and he's going to be moving forward again. Still no sentries in play. More Broodlings moving forward. WhiteRa deciding he is pretty happy in terms of his push. He is retreating to reinforce his actual main push itself. We do have another hatchet coming down and 6 Zerglings. I don't know why WhiteRa decided to move back though. He decided probably he didn't have exactly enough in terms to deal with the amount of broodlings, or he just wanted to be sure that he can keep this main Protoss ball alive to get more Archons and more Stalkers in play before he pushes out again. So far, very nice play by WhiteRa. He is on, of course, the winning end so far. Everything is looking up towards him. Now the question is, can he be able to count all these broodlings and all these Corruptors before Stephano decides to reinforce his actual base? We do have 9 more roaches in play, and I do believe WhiteRa is prepping for another push. We do have 6 more Archons, and we do have another mothership being rebuilt. So Stephano obviously removing his actual spine crawlers, building in those ground defenses as much as possible, but WhiteRa is not going to wait for his mothership, and he's pushing out already. No, he actually decides to retreat. He's not really going for the push itself. The amount of broodlings that Stephano does possess is pretty decent, but once that mothership comes online, a Vortex should be able to suck all these units in pretty quickly though. Spine Claws being repositioned to different positions, of course, to try to make it as difficult as possible, since this is the center of the map and WhiteRa is going to have to go through all these Spine Claws to be able to move forward, but he should be able to do that, especially with the thermal lance for the Colossus that can reach these Spine Clawers without the Spine Clawer reaching the actual Colossus. So it really depends if he actually decides to utilize it. Here comes a small little push, maybe just more like a prod. I do believe that WhiteRa should be able to fry this small little Zerg ball pretty quickly, and here comes the massive Archon build-up, including a mothership, and we do have the gravitational catapult also being researched in terms of WhiteRa. Stephano, of course, WhiteRa building the carrier. I don't even think he needs that carrier. He's just building the carrier for the sake of building that carrier. There's really no point in actually building that carrier itself, but you know, why not? Why not throw a carrier into the mix since you are on the winning end? WhiteRa knows that this game is his. I do believe he's just playing around, but it's really nice that he's actually throwing in a carrier at the end of the game, because you really rarely see pro games throwing in carriers or different rarely seen units or rarely used units into the game. They don't really do that. They prefer to continue production of the units that they know are going to wield more results. So he is, of course, moving in with the Observer, going to take out as many of these tumors as possible to reseat the Crete. I can't even speak now. We do have, of course, the Protoss shield level 1, so we finally are going to be having some shield boost as well. First carrier coming online, and he should push out. I don't know why WhiteRa is waiting for this. I don't really know what exactly he is planning to do with this. I don't even know if there was a point in building this hatchery, as there's really no crystals there. So, so far, WhiteRa is just prodding and just making sure that nothing is really happening in terms of Stephano's side. We do have 2 more observers and an interceptor as well. Interceptors being built for the carrier themselves. It's really nice the carriers in play. I really haven't seen a carrier in play for quite a while in terms of the Protoss. So we do have 3 infestors coming online for Stephano. Let's take a look at Stephano with a pretty hefty, well, a nice amount of roaches and a few broodlings as well. I don't know why he is trying to split. He is obviously going for that harass as well, but what he does know that WhiteRa really has the capacity to move forward, but since his production tab is really all on the main base itself, it'll be pretty hard to actually warp in some of his units back. Is he actually going to move back and deal with this now? I do believe, yes, he just sent down, he's going to move his whole army. No, he's just going to send down a few Stalkers to deal with that, and he is planning to continue the push over here. I do believe that this should be able to do it. We have no more crystals left for Stephano. Stephano really running out of resources. All he has left is just a small little patch of crystals and the remnants of around 250. Very few crystals, I do believe. Overall, he might have 1,000, 1,500 crystals for Stephano, but Stephano still harvesting on. He's pretty much harvested out as well, but he is, I do believe, might be moving out for. He's going to rebuild his base here as well. We do have still a good patch here as well, and a very fresh patch of crystals here as well. So this game for Stephano is coming to an end, as he is resources-wise drained out. He really needs another base to be able to counteract anything. But with this Protoss ball and the amount of researches and the carriers that are being produced with the mothership, I do not see this. Look at the Brink research. He's not even going to bother trying to evade the actual spine calls themselves. He's just going in, even though the infestors are going to try to place down a few fungals, but I don't believe this is going to be effective. You have those interceptors coming online. Of course, the Archons throwing down splash damage. Pretty nice in terms of WhiteRa. As you can see, he's not really caring. He is just going all out. He's just pushing aggressively. This hive is going to drop pretty quickly. A few infested Terrans coming down. A few Archons should be able to mop up the rest of the infested Terrans. Interceptors coming in. Of course, the mothership moving forward, poking all the units, and those Colossus just burning everything down with the enhanced. And here comes the Vortex, sucking in any units. These Broodlings really can't move. One Water Infestor got sucked in, and the mothership's still moving around. And are these broodlings going to be sucked in as well? Yes, one of the broodlings does get sucked in. Very nice play, and WhiteRa really mopping up the rest of the actual broodlings. And of course, StarCraft calls this GG. Well played, actually, not a GG. He calls it a well played game, and this was a very well played game. I really enjoyed the mix of the actual interceptors with the carriers. Very nice game. Well, this is it for the first game of the 6 I do believe that are going to be coming out for these series. And as always, give it a thumbs up, like it, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next game. Happy gaming. Bye.